Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. At noon, consultations between the President and the election committees began at the Presidential Palace. The first to meet the President were representatives of the Law and Justice Party, followed by a meeting with the representatives of the Civic Coalition. Tomorrow, the President will meet delegates from the Third Way, the Left and Confederation. Who then has the best chance of forming a new government in Poland?
At the meeting with the President, Law and Justice was represented by Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, head of the Law and Justice Club Ryszard Terlecki, and party spokesman Rafał Bochenek.
Czekamy na decyzję pana prezydenta.
We are waiting for the President's decision. I, for one, am convinced that the President will entrust this function to Prime Minister Morawiecki. If a majority government is to be formed, it will be based on three parties, namely Law and Justice, the Confederation, and the Polish People's Party. Will it be successful? This will all depend on a few weeks of talks by the Prime Minister. Before noon, the leaders of the opposition parties issued a joint statement declaring their readiness to form a government. The candidate for Prime Minister will be Donald Tusk. We are ready to form a government. Thank you for confirming the declaration that the leader of the largest party in these elections on the opposition side will certainly get a difficult mission to form a government, but this of course depends on the President. The President declared even before the elections that a candidate from the winning election committee would be appointed Prime Minister. There are possibilities, such as programmatic persuasion to govern together, if we were entrusted with such a mission. As you can see, for several days now, there have actually been very intense programmatic divergences within just the Civic platform, the Polish People's Party and the Left. They have already managed to quarrel over issues related to social programs. The opposition is trying to force the President to designate a candidate for Prime Minister as soon as possible. The Constitution speaks in general terms about what the President should be guided by, namely not only watching over the Constitution, but at the same time, that which serves to guard and defend the sovereignty and security of the Polish state. It is such, one might say, unethical even, to put pressure on the President and bring about a situation where he is forced by some politicians to make his decision, because all these actions taken by him are in accordance with the existing laws, in accordance with our Constitution, and completely fulfill those terms that are indicated. In an interview with Solidarity Weekly, President Andrzej Duda indicated that if the new government wants to deviate from existing policies on investment, building Poland's security, defense, or the social benefits program, there will be a conflict of interest. Andrzej Duda, I think, remembers well the times of Lech Kaczyński and what cooperation, or rather lack of cooperation, looked like with the Civic Platform government of the time, and probably counts on the fact that he is facing a repeat of that time. I think he is facing the most difficult decision of his entire political career. The first session of the Sejm must be held within 30 days of the election, or by November 14th. Within the next 2 weeks, the President must appoint the government. If the government does not receive a vote of confidence, the Sejm will elect the Prime Minister. This requires an absolute majority of votes. In this scenario, the new government will be appointed no later than December 26th. All this will be important because the party will have to nominate a candidate for president in a year and a half, because it is the party with the greatest support today, so it cannot skip these elections and will definitely not do it. And on the other hand, it also has the same with the largest number of seats. Therefore, it may block some initiatives of the future government. Publicists point out significant programmatic and ideological differences among opposition parties seeking to form a governing coalition. Of course, the coalition will be difficult to build because the government consists of a couple of parties, some of which are shells. Let's say realistically, there are a bit fewer, but still, there will be quite a lot of groups, and building such a coalition will certainly be difficult. But it seems to me that personalities may cause a much bigger problem here. Szymon Hołownia and Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz said so much that we need new quality, that we need a third way, and that we need to move away from polarization and offer Polish people something new, because they simply expect it. At the same time, they point to Donald Tusk, who is to be Prime Minister. This reality is simply jarring. Tomorrow, representatives of the Third Way will meet the President at 11 a.m., the New Left at 1 p.m., and the Confederation at 3 p.m.
It is the 17th day of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, which has now claimed the lives of more than 6,500 people on both sides. Israel's security cannot be sustainable without a decisive resumption of the political process with the Palestinians, said French President Emmanuel Macron. In the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, almost 5,200 Palestinians have been killed and more than 15,000 wounded since the conflict began. More than 1,400 people have also been killed in the conflict on the Israeli side, according to the Israeli Health Ministry, as quoted by the Jerusalem Post. Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip, launched a massive surprise attack on Israel on the 7th of October. In response, the Israeli military has been conducting airstrikes on Hamas headquarters in the coastal enclave. In the last 24 hours, Israeli forces fired on 400 military targets in Gaza, and 3 Hamas commanders were killed. Among the targets was one of the tunnels built by the Hamas terrorist organization, which has ruled the Strip since 2007, the Israeli Defense Forces reported. French President Emmanuel Macron flew to Israel this morning to convey his support and propose a new peace plan. Macron met both the Prime Minister and the President, opposition leaders, as well as the families of French citizens kidnapped and killed by Hamas. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has submitted a bill approving Sweden's NATO candidacy to the Turkish parliament for ratification. Sweden applied to join NATO last year. Only Turkey and Hungary have yet to ratify Swedish accession.
It
is gratifying that Turkish President Erdogan has forwarded the ratification protocol to the Turkish parliament. Now the parliament has to deal with the matter, and of course we respect the Turkish parliament's own processes.
No other ally has suffered more terrorist attacks than Turkey. And I'm glad we have been able to address Turkey's legitimate security concerns in a way that enables Sweden's membership to move forward. I look forward to welcoming Sweden as a full NATO ally in the very near future.
Only Turkey and Hungary have yet to ratify the accession. Ankara was waiting for Stockholm to introduce legislation banning participation in the terrorist organizations. At issue were the activities in Sweden of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, considered to be a terrorist organization by Turkey. Prime Minister Kristersson recalled that he had received a promise from Prime Minister Viktor Orban that Hungary would not delay the ratification process of Swedish accession. Kristersson reported on progress in NATO integration. Sweden's 28 most important officers will receive a special instruction, and the preparation of Sweden's defence cooperation agreement with the United States is nearing completion. The armed forces will be ready both to accept the help of the Allies and to cooperate with them, the Prime Minister said. At least 7 people were killed and 30 injured on the outskirts of New Orleans in the United States state of Louisiana following a car crash involving more than 100 vehicles. The incident occurred on Interstate Highway 55, with 3 large vehicles first colliding in thick fog and at least 2 catching fire. A total of 158 vehicles were involved in the car crash on the bridge. At least 1 vehicle flew through the barriers and ended up sideways in the water, according to photographs released by the Louisiana State Police. The search for victims of the chain reaction accident continued for several hours following the accident. Local media report that the cause of the accident was a so-called super fog, a mixture of smoke and moisture during which visibility drops to less than 3 yards. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.